You said something on our podcast together that I would love for you to talk about it again before we go any further, is how it is your duty as a man to protect others and that you should not be worried about the consequences. Just do what needs to get done.
A story just came out, I think yesterday. A lady was vegan. She died from starvation and dehydration. Is a vegan diet safe?
I'm not going to say it's not safe. Right? I will tell you it's definitely not optimal. We are omnivores, right? You know, most people have 2 canine teeth too. I mean, we are made to eat basically meat. That's just how we're geared.
Stop treating your body like a dumpster, because if your body is filled with junk, guess what? Your mind is going to act like junk too. It's not going to be working for you. One of the easiest ways to do that is to stop drinking your calories.
This is the Nico Lagan Show. Warning. This show contains explicit content. Listener discretion is advised. Real, raw, and shooting you straight. This is the Nico Lagan Show. And now your host, Nico.
Welcome to another episode of the Nico Lagan Show. As always, I am with my brother from another mother, Tarek Higgins, Mr. Speak Up. And today is special. It is the first episode where we will be talking about fitness and how important it is for you as a man to be fit. Because without being fit, there's no way in hell that you can become the protector that your family needs, that your community needs. So I have the tremendous pleasure of having Marcus Davis, UFC fighter veteran, online with us. You better enjoy it because this is special. What's going on, Marcus?
All right.
What's up, Logan? How's it going, man?
Happy to have you on. We recorded our podcast face to face, exactly where you are right now, right in that gym last week. That should be posted today. So I'm looking forward to seeing that, and I'm happy that you accepted my invitation to be part of this show and to teach men why it's important to be fit, and especially how to get jacked like you are, because you're half a century old, bro.
Right. Yeah. Yep. No, you're right. I'm you know, one of the things that you know, after retiring from fighting that didn't leave me, like, was the desire and stuff to stay physically fit and, you know, able to, as we've talked about, be a good protector, right? So as being a father of 4, other than just, you know, being a good provider, I believe that you have to be a great protector. And you can't do that if you're not going to train your body and train your mind.
You know, there's when we spoke, you and I, and this will be part of the podcast that I'm going to release later on today, but I think it's worth you mentioning it because you said something that really hit home with me, because I believe that a man's supposed to be a protector. It's our duty to not only help our family, but to help our community, to help the people that need help, that are not capable of, let's say, defending themselves. And too often on my social media, I get this all the time where people are like, yeah, but it's not my job. Again, yesterday I was talking about this, and somebody that's a father is saying that it is not his responsibility to take care of other people. And too often those people are scared of getting in trouble. And you said something on our podcast together that I would love for you to go in to talk about it again before we go any further, is how it is your duty as a man to protect others and that you should not be worried about the consequences. Just do what needs to get done.
Right. Okay. You want me to take off with that?
I'd like you to approach it in a way, because a lot of people need to hear this. A lot of people are scared to help. You did do it. There were consequences to your actions, and I want people to hear what you think about it now.
Right. So, right, that is what I believe one of the biggest decays that we have now in society is that men don't want to really step up and be the men that they're supposed to be. And what I mean by that is we are biologically made to be hunters, gatherers, protectors. This right now, what I see happening around is right, that there is a fear, and don't get me wrong, like I'm not saying that fear is unfounded, because we've seen men step up and take this role of being a protector, and then all of a sudden legal ramifications being put against them. But my belief is, right, there is good and evil, there is right and wrong. And if you are complacent, if you are just not going to take part in either or, you're already deciding you're helping the wrong, the evil side. So to be able to stand by and watch somebody who is weaker than you be a victim, and actually watch that happen and do nothing, I think is one of the most despicable things. You are just as guilty as the person that's causing that crime by sitting there watching it and do nothing. So, I believe that you need to know really who you are. So you got to do some deep thinking, and who am I? What kind of person am I? Or what kind of person do I want to be? And then you need to speak that and out with courage. You have to be willing to say these things in front of everybody. And then you don't want to just be a man of words. You have to be a man of action. And then, following through with these things that you speak, like that you are going to be a provider, that you are going to be a protector, and that, right, you can't not train and be your best, right? So I cannot not train. So I can't not work out. I cannot not hit the bag. I cannot, like, you have to walk through those steps. You just can't say it and then all of a sudden, right, I am for I said, right? You need to go through those motions. So, right, General Patton said, fatigue makes cowards of us all. Anybody who is tired, anybody who doesn't have the ability to stay in the fight does not want to fight. You're already going to, right? I believe that being a man means don't be easy to kill. If you're easy to kill, you're not a protector. You're not a real man. You need to make it as hard as hell for somebody to be able to take your life. And you do that through training both your body and your mind. And there's that symbiotic relationship between the two, where you can't feel weak and be strong, and right, and I can't have weak thoughts and have really a strong body to go with that. So right there, it's a symbiotic relationship. So you need to train both. And as you know, right, because you train all the time, that there is a huge release of endorphins that happens after you do this massive workout, and you're like, you know that you kicked ass and you really did a good job, and it motivates you to eat better. It motivates you every time that you take that step in the right direction. It's easier to continue that. But if you half-ass train and then go eat McDonald's, right? Your next training session is going to suffer from the choice of what you decided to put in for your macronutrients, and you're going to have shitty workouts. Then you're going to have shitty thoughts, and right. So the like I said, what I guess with you and I kind of teaming up, what we're thinking of is how do we get men to take the right steps in the right ways to become better protectors and providers, better men. And so that's when we talked about what I say are the 3 pillars of your fitness. And then once you kind of get that, and we have kind of a logical structure to follow, It's really easy. It's not hard, right? You know, you got to make it into your daily routine.
And I gotta say, man, just so you know, Tarek, he gave me after I met Marcus, I'm like, hey, bro, you got to give me your workout, because we were talking about no, but he has a very different way of seeing it. Like he has the amount of reps, for example, for the more advanced people that are listening to this right now. I've always kept it between 8 and 12. For years, it's been 8 and 12, 8 and 12, and 2-minute break between every set. Yesterday, I just ran through a workout that would probably take me an hour and a half to do. I did it in maybe 35 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. I was drenched though, like completely drenched. And I even thanked him afterwards. I'm like, bro, that was a good workout. But it's very interesting in a way. It's not often that you see a guy my age that's in shape, even less a guy like Marcus that's in shape. And, you know, he fought in the UFC years ago, like years and years ago. So he knows what it is to be in shape to fight. He knows what it is to be in shape to not only look good, but right now, and we will get into it in the future episodes, but how important it is for the average man to be a good in between. If you're not a fighter, you don't train like a fighter, but you should have an amount of, it's not cardio, because I don't do cardio, but within your workout to pump your heart up, not like most people do. They're just pushing weights to push weight to have a certain amount of muscle mass, because that does not translate in real life too. I was 220 pounds at one point, and I did not move well. I felt heavy as hell, and right now I'm maybe 190, 195, and this is perfect. Like I still hit like a 250 pound guy, but I can move like I'm 155 pounds because I'm not carrying all that extra muscle mass. I'm not dying after 5 minutes because I have so much muscle, and my oxygen intake needs to be so high in order to feed those muscles. But what I'm really interested in you explaining is those 3 pillars, because I want to take it back from the absolute beginning, because most guys, even though that they've been training for years, or maybe they're not training at all, they don't have a fucking clue what they're doing. I see it in the gym all the time. I see guys that are muscular, and I'm like, how the f did you get like what you look like right now training the way you do? It makes no sense to me.
Right.
So what are those 3 pillars? What your programs, when you're working with a client, what are those 3 pillars that you focus your 100% of your attention on?
So I tell them, you've got to look at it like when you're starting out. So if I have somebody who's fresh, that's not, you know, a gym, not like us, I will tell them, okay, the first thing, there's 3 things that we got to pay attention to. We got to pay attention to how you eat, your nutrition, how you recovery, right? Your rest in between your workouts, and then your actual training. And I do it in that order because of how they affect each other. Your diet, your nutrition is going to affect both how you recover, you know, in that resting time, and it's going to affect how you train, right? If I eat like, my training sessions will be. And if you're having, you know, caffeine or sugars or chocolates close to bedtime, you're not going to sleep well. You're not going to hit that, you know, that deep REM cycle of resetting your hormones and balancing out your serotonins, which is very important, right? Especially when you get over the age of 25. Like all that stuff needs to be taken care of. So how I eat is going to affect both my recovery and my training. How I recover is going to definitely affect how I train, because if I sleep like my training the next day is not going to be good. Right. And then I'm going to focus on how I train. So I really think that when you start out, I talk to people about chunking it. Like rather than saying, I'm going to do my nutrition and I'm going to be an absolutist and I'm not going to eat this anymore, I'm only going to eat this. When you start doing that, your brain immediately goes and thinks about the things. It doesn't know do or do not. It just knows the thing. So when you say, I'm going to quit smoking cigarettes, your brain doesn't say stop smoking cigarettes. Your brain just says cigarettes, 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 right? But I use this as an analogy because if we go back to the 70s and the 80s, what people used to do is go, I'm going to stop smoking cigarettes, and they started chewing gum. So the brain did a cognitive trade-off. The brain said, okay, I want cigarette, but you want gum. I want cigarette, you want gum. And then finally the brain goes, okay, gum, 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 gum. Because the brain's never going to forget anything. The brain's a recording device. It will not let you lose a habit. It'll let you replace a habit, but it won't let you lose one. So you need to be responsible about how you're going to program your own brain. Don't let the outside, don't let the internet, don't let everything else program your brain. Take a hold of that and you decide what's going in there. So that's why I'll say to people, if you drink a lot of soda, right, you should not be drinking calories. But if you start out and you're drinking soda, I would say, all right, rather than telling you you can't ever drink soda again and I'm just going to make you drink water all of a sudden, all you're going to do is crave soda. Right. But if we can make a agreement that at first maybe you're going to go to something like Crystal Light, which I think is still not good, but it's better than. So if we can get to like Crystal Light, or if we can use infused water, right, something like that that has some kind of taste to it, and I can get you hooked on that and doing that, then at some point I can wean you into just going to water. So we can take those steps. And I don't want to tell anybody who loves ice cream that you can never have ice cream again, because all they think is ice cream, ice cream, ice cream. And then I'm like, okay, well, guess what? We're going to use this as a reward mechanism. So after you train and you bust your ass and you do a real high intensity workout, maybe the first thing you reward yourself with is ice cream, because the number one thing you might have used in that workout, right, is glycogen, right? Muscles cannot fire without glycogen. So I always tell everybody my favorite meal I have is after a workout. It's almost like a reward, because that's when I'm having all those sugars, the fruits and the fructose, and I'm going to have my quickly, easily digestible protein. I'm not going to take in fat, but I'm going to, right, because that slows down the assimilation of micro and macronutrients. My big fat meal will happen about an hour to an hour and a half later when my insulin level drops. I'm starving again because I ate all that fruit. So there's a way that you can set this up and have a logical structure to follow, and it becomes so easy once it becomes what you do. You don't even like it. It's clockwork.
Right. Hey, Marcus, let me ask you a question, Marcus. There's an article that just came out, a story that just came out, I think yesterday. A lady was vegan. She was a vegan content creator, and she died from starvation and dehydration. Dude, is a vegan diet safe?
All right, so I'm not going to say it's not safe, right? I will tell you it's definitely not optimal. Right. So, right, we are omnivores, right? And we have, most people have 2 canine teeth too. I mean, we are made to eat basically, roughage and to eat meat. Like that's just how we're geared. I'm going to say that she probably was, right, she might have had she might have been anemic, which also led to her dehydration and stuff. She might have had some iron issues. She might have, because, right, no meat, no, right, that's an obvious problem with being a vegan. And, right, if she was not taking in the proper amount of electrolytes, right, from what she was eating, right, so there could be a lot of common factors. I don't think that, right, being a vegan isn't going to affect your hydration level in your body. Right. But you're not going to be at your top. So that's like when I talk to people and they talk to me about, they say, well, I'm going to take a plant-based protein. And I will tell them, I will be like, yeah, okay, well, just so you know, that's not a complete protein. Right. So, you need to make sure that you're getting, like, L-leucine is like the most important factor of that branched chain amino acids. When you're looking at the 3 amino acids that are responsible for protein synthesis, you got to have that leucine. You're going to be missing that if you're eating plant-based proteins. And so the way I look at it, throughout the day, you should be having both. Right, after I work out, I want to have whey protein, and the reason why I'm using whey protein, and I've told Nico this, that I actually have my whey protein right before I work out, maybe about 30 minutes before I work out, because it's easily digestible. It's not going to bother my body, because even though it's in your bloodstream in 20 minutes, it's actually not bioavailable, used by your body for an hour and a half. So people get mixed up and they don't understand that. So throughout the day, I'm having my whey protein with right before I work out, and I'm having casein protein in the morning, and I have casein protein at night. And the reason why I do the casein protein is because in 3 hours, it's in your bloodstream, and about 4.5 hours, it's bioavailable. So, right, rather than having ice cream before bed, right, if I have a little bit of a hunger and I want to have a little snack or something, I'll have some frozen fat-free Greek yogurt mixed up with my favorite flavor, because I think plain Greek yogurt is just disgusting. I'll have it with my favorite flavored whey protein mixed in with it to give it some sort of flavor. That way I'm not taking in any fats before bed, and I'm going to be shuttling protein to my muscles the whole time through sleep, because that's when it's needed too. Like during your sleep is where you are repairing your body. You're right. So when you hit the N3, which is your deep sleep stage, that's when all your repairing and stuff happens. In your REM sleep cycle, that's when the resetting of your hormones and your serotonins happens. So they're both very important. You should be getting approximately, at least an hour and a half of each of those every night. What happens is, as you get older, your body stops really regulating these, except for when you're in your sleep, or unless you're intermittent fasting. So that's why people intermittent fast. I mean, there's a lot to this. So there's a lot of science behind all this stuff, and like that's my interest. My interest is like I don't watch TV. I don't watch, like, if you brought up some kind of like series or something like that on Netflix or whatever. I don't even have Netflix, so I couldn't even tell you what's on there, but I wouldn't know any of this stuff. So I work all the time. I train when I'm not working. And then when I am home, I read clinical data. I do lots of stuff on like YouTube where I can watch these talks and stuff on these subjects. And then I take notes. Like, I feel like I'm in school, and this is just what I'm interested in. So that's and some people are into like they know all the stats for baseball and football and whatnot. That ain't me. I've never been a team sport. When I try to play team sports, I used to fight all my teammates because I felt like they weren't playing as hard as I was. That's why I had to go into fighting. So
Marcus, let me ask you this. It becomes extremely complicated for most people because, as you say, I've been a gym rat for more than 20 years, like for longer than half of my life I spent in a gym. And to me, it's just second nature. It's an addiction. As you said, I replaced being lazy by being addicted to the gym, right? But some of the things, it gets overly complicated. And as you guys can, the listeners right now can attest to this, it can become extremely complicated to try to understand everything. But too often we are capable of simplifying it and just explaining to people what are the do's and the do nots. And just to paraphrase a bit what you said is, stop treating your body like a dumpster, because if your body is filled with junk, guess what? Your mind is going to act like junk too. It's not going to be working for you. One of the easiest ways to do that is to stop drinking your calories. Like, I don't drink my calories basically ever, unless it's a cheat meal. If I have a cheat meal, sometimes I'll allow it, but I never drink my calories. It's water, black coffee, and tea. That's it. That's all I drink.
Yep.
That being said, stop drinking your calories. Be more careful about the time that you consume caffeine, because a lot of people don't know this, but depending on your digestive system, caffeine can stay in your body from 6 to 10 hours, give or take, before your body is not reacting to it. And a lot of people drink coffee well into the afternoon and well into the evening, and they wonder why they sleep like shit. So if you stop drinking your calories, be more cognizant of your sleep make sure that your sleep is your priority, your REM sleep especially. So make sure not to drink coffee too late in the day. Make sure blue light, you didn't talk about this, but one of the things that we are very surrounded by is blue light pollution. So everything now has light that's messing up with your circadian rhythm, which we should.
If you're laying in bed and you're looking at your phone, that blue light's going right in there, and it's 100%. Making your brain very active, and it's 100%. Going to be hard to shut that down.
It's artificial light. Like, this is something I've never spoke about before, but I wrote about this. And circadian rhythm, our bodies are in tune with the sun. That's what we call the circadian rhythm. And unfortunately, one of the baddest thing you can do for your body is to have artificial light, like LCD screen, computer screen, your phone. It represents, your brain thinks it's the sun. The sun's still up.
Yeah.
So it will not release the proper hormones in order for you to be going fast asleep. So 2 hours before bed, you should not be looking at this. And you should also have a blue light filter on your phone. I have an app that kicks in around 6 or 7 at night by itself that just blocks all the blue light. My screen turns red, right? What else would you add to this?
I want to add right to what you're saying right there. So another thing that's really cool, like you will, so if you listen to me on this, people, and you do this, if you're able to complete this in your house, you will notice a big difference when it comes time for bedtime. And that's this. If either A, you put a dimmer switch on the overhead lighting and you start dimming it as it gets later outside, because your brain, when it's overhead light, your brain thinks sun. Like, you may not think so, but your primal brain says sun's out, time to go hunt. Like, you're getting ready to be busy. So when that light is up above your head, it's not good. So either A, you either dim that light and you dim it according to the time that it is outside, or you turn that off and you have floor lighting, or have light that's coming from underneath you. Like, if it's coming from there, your brain doesn't process it the same way as it does overhead light. So this will allow you to put you into more of a calm state rather than being stimulated with a light here. And you got to cut out that, like, you don't want to be, and I know it's hard, and I know I'm saying, like, unless you're able to wear the blue light filtering glasses, like I have those. So if I've got to be on my phone for whatever reason, I just use the blue light filtering glasses. And those are like $8 a pair. Like, you can get them from Amazon for $8.
And people out there, they don't look weird. You don't need to look like a nerd. My glasses that are very stylish do have them.
Yeah.
They're just my regular prescription glasses, and because I stare at a screen 10 hours a day, I have blue light filters on them.
I've got like 5 pairs of them in my middle console in my car because I'll always forget, and then I bring them, and then I put it in there. So, but it's a real easy fix. And if you start throwing those on around, let's say 6 p.m. at night, and you're looking, whether you're watching TV or you're looking at your phone, it'll help you when it's time to kind of shut off and go to sleep. So, and all this stuff, like what you hear or what you do, like, your brain is an antenna. So whether I'm asleep or I'm awake, if I'm asleep and there's sounds going into my brain, you are recording that. Like, you don't think so, but you are still picking that up. That's why, not a good thing wouldn't be, hey, before I go to bed, I'm going to watch something that's like alpha, because your brain is going to go alpha, and you're going to be kind of aggressive, and even if you're not meaning to, right? So, but if you go into something that's like delta or theta, right? And I tell everybody, theta is that theta is the state of the rubberneck boogie. When I start starting to want to fall asleep, and then delta kind of guides you into that deep sleep. So, that's the key. Like, your brain is an antenna, and I do a lot of neural programming. So I have a neural programmer for sleep. So I put my headphones on, I turn it on, it starts at theta, and it guides me into delta, and then I'm in that deep sleep pattern like immediately. So we have all kinds of like neat little tricks, and it's all, and none of this stuff is expensive either. Like we said, $8 glasses. these theta delta things you can get for free. You can download them yourself. Like, so there's lots of different things that you can do just to turn yourself into a better warrior.
Hey, brother, let me ask you a question, brother. What is the correct amount of sleep that people should get?
So, right, the whole typical 8 hours is what everybody should strive for, right? But everybody's a little different. So my point would be, right, all of your sleep patterns are important, right? The light sleep is important, REM sleep is important, and N3 or deep sleep is important. You want to be getting, at least in my opinion, right, from all the clinical data that I read, is about an hour and a half. If you can get it of REM, an hour and a half of deep, or up to 2 hours of deep would be fantastic. And then the rest is going to be light sleep. I have had times that I've only gotten to like 6 hours of sleep, right. And through what I use as a sleep tracker, I'll have like a 95 score, which is fantastic. And it'll just be because I spent most of that time in those N3 and deep sleep stages. So then there's been times that I've had 9 hours of sleep because I've just shut down and I've been exhausted, and I've gotten like a 78% score. Which is not so great. I mean, it's better than some people get, but it's not like me because I'm a sleep Nazi. Like, I'm on my sleep all the time, watching it and going, oh, am I getting enough? Or, right? So I'm crazy about that stuff. And right, so it didn't matter that I got 9 hours of sleep. It's the quality of that sleep.
Right.
And I'm the perfect example. I sleep 6 hours a night. Like I'm normally up at 3 o'clock in the morning ish. I'll go to bed. I try to go to bed around 9. Sometimes it's earlier, sometimes it's later, but I do 6, and that's my perfect. It's the perfect amount of sleep. And there's one thing that Marcus said. So for the listeners, Marcus earlier, he was talking about theta and he was talking about delta. Just so you guys know, he's talking about binaural beats. He's talking about the brain wave, the 5 type of brain wave that your brain produces, right, which are the gamma, beta, alpha, theta, and delta. And through binaural beats, which are basically any of those, I use them all the time to stimulate or destimulate my brain, depending on what I'm doing. But binaural beats are, you need to listen to them through headphones like the ones I have right now. They will produce, let's say, alpha waves in both the headphones, but the tone is going to be a tiny bit offset, meaning that it's not quite the same hertz in the music. So one ear hears something, the other hears something else, and your brain, by putting them together, uses the binaural beat to change your brain pattern to the type of music you're listening to. So
it's one of those things that I used to prevent, basically traumatic brain injury, or CTE, to help me from, I had 219 fights with my boxing, MMA, and kickboxing and K1 careers combined. And when I started to see some of my sparring partners and my other friends that were slurring their words, I got into a panic, and I'm like, I don't want that to be me. So I started doing research, and this was back in 2008. And that's when I found out about neuroprogramming and how they were just kind of getting into it. And then I followed it this whole time. And that's why I can still, like, I used to, let's say I would try to read 30 pages of a book, and then all of a sudden I'd be like, okay, where was I? I wouldn't even remember where I was. And then I try to think about all the stuff I just read, and I wouldn't remember it. Now I can if I put on my headset, and I have that neuroprogrammer going on, and I read stuff, I can take that off 30 pages later and remember everything that I just did, because my body is in that. We all learn best in alpha. So not to get off this subject, but you need to understand this. Society fucked you. And this is how society fucked you. They put you in school. School ruins the way that we learn. We all learn best in alpha, because when you're born, you're in alpha. Your brain is in what's called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity means your brain is easily moldable. It's easy to remember and to learn. That's why when you're a baby, you go from not even being able to move or feed yourself or anything, to by the time you're 10, you're a full human being. You can speak, some can speak multiple languages. You can run, you can jump, you can have full conversations and everything. And that 10 years, you're learning more than you're going to learn pretty much in the rest of your life. You take out all that information you got to do, right? Then what happens is that they put you in school. You're in alpha all the time. Then they say this: sit down, shut up, be quiet, don't move, raise your hand. And when that happens, it forces you into a beta state. You do not learn best in beta. So the way that I've kind of looked at this is I use those neuroprogrammers. I get myself in an alpha state, and that's when I'm doing all of my own programming me. So when I'm going to program me, I'm going to put myself into that alpha state, and I'm going to start, you know, learning the stuff that I want to learn rather than letting a society try to program me.
You know, guys, if you are, I will find a sleep doctor, a neuroscientist to go all over what we spoke about, because it's so important. I take this stuff for granted because I've researched it for so long. But right now, if you guys don't know what to do and you're looking to try to emulate what Marcus is doing, pair of headphones connected to your cell phone. You can go on YouTube right now, type in alpha waves. Just look for binaural beats, alpha wave, put them on. You don't need a programmer. It will be there. I've recorded some.
Make sure your earphones are high def.
Yeah,
that's absolutely it. You know, you got to have a high quality earphone because of that. Like you said, that the quality of what's coming through is very important. And if you look at like my neural programming, like my sound files, like I'll do a 30-minute neural programming session, you know, and like a lot of, you know, sound files are like, you know, anywhere from 1 meg to maybe like a big one might be like 7 megs. We're talking, these sound files are like a gig. Like that's crazy. Like you're talking, you know, thousands of megabytes here. That's how high quality that sound is. So it's important that you have decent headsets.
But most of them now, everybody wants to spend good money on headsets. So normally they're good. It's just, as you said, they need to be high quality, and the files as well are very high quality. Marcus, give us your top 3. What is, if they're, give us 3 things to finish the show on that everybody can do right now with no excuses.
Okay. Top 3, like just breaking into it. The first thing is, you already said it, is don't drink your calories. See if you can get away from that. Don't drink your calories. Those are empty calories. There is no digestive process in that. So when you drink something that's just liquid, right, it passes through your esophagus, it passes through your intestines, it goes right through the breaking down process of like nutrients and food, and it goes right into your belly and it's absorbed, and your insulin goes up because it's empty calories, and your insulin comes down, and then you're hungry. So it's not good. Insulin is the strongest hormone in your body. It can literally kill you, right? So get rid of the drinking of calories. The next thing is try to get a hold of your sleep patterns, right? Try to, go to bed a little bit earlier than normal, and don't be stimulated before you go to bed. Start some kind of ritual that will help you start to fall into sleep, whether that means, right, finding something. So I can tell you real quick, a thing that I used to do is, because I'd seen every single Seinfeld episode ever, I would always put Seinfeld on because I already knew what was coming. So my brain was never anticipating watching a new show. I already knew. I could be asleep, and my brain was already knew how the show was going to end. So that was another way that I kind of tricked myself, that I started to see Seinfeld, and I go, oh, it's bedtime. And my brain would go, oh, it's bedtime, right? And it was easy because I needed, like when it's super quiet, I have all these thoughts going on in my head, and I can't shut it off. Mm-hmm. But if I have that Seinfeld on, I'm like, my brain tunes in and I can fall asleep. So that's like just kind of like one of those hacks. So, but you need to have something like that to have a ritual, so your brain goes, oh, it's time to turn off. And then the last thing is just find some kind of activity. Like if you're somebody who's not working out at all, find an activity that you can do first thing in the morning. So whether that means you're going to get up a little bit earlier and you're going to go on a 30-minute walk, or you're going to get up and you're going to do so many push-ups, so many body squats. You're going to do something to get you going and get your metabolism firing off. Okay? First thing in the morning too is drink water. Put off having that coffee first thing in the morning. Make it more of a reward system where, right? Because if you've been sleeping and you're covered with covers, what's happening? You're dehydrating the whole time. If I'm under covers and I'm sleeping and I got 8 hours of sleep, I haven't had any water, why would you take a dehydration thing like coffee the first thing in the morning and even make yourself more dehydrated? Drink your water, put a pinch of Epsom salt in there. Put a pinch of pink Himalayan sea salt or sea salt in there. It's a complete electrolyte. It'll balance out all those electrical charges going on in your brain and your body. And you're going to feel much better, and then reward yourself after you do your exercise with your coffee, and then head out for the day of hunting and gathering and whatnot you got to do for the day.
Hey, brother, before you leave, I got one more question for you, man, before we leave, man.
Okay.
Now, everybody say, I don't know why athletes don't do this. Why don't athletes have sex before they perform? Now, I know what sex for me, man. It makes me perform better. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's like an old wives' tale. So the reason why isn't so it's kind of poured over into just sex itself. Right. The whole thing is it's the chase. Okay. So it's the chasing of women, trying to get them, going out and running around the bars, running around the clubs, trying to get them and bring them home, and then trying to get them out of the house, right? So that's the whole problem. Like, so there's this whole physical stress, mental stress. It's not good for you, but but it's not going to affect you, right? Unless let's say it's the night before a fight and you're just gonna go at it. Probably not the best thing. It's better to be aggressive and have that, inherent primal, that mindset of that's what you want, but you'll get that again as a reward for after you go out there and you perform.
Gotcha.
We'll talk about it later because there's such a thing called semen retention that was popularized by it's in Born Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, Napoleon Hill.
He talked about it. I have a French accent, asshole. But the point is that we'll do an episode on this because semen retention is so important for men. But this is where the old wives' tale comes from, because guys are like, I'm not gonna have sex, but I'm gonna masturbate. It's the same. You're basically burning your more primal energy, which is our semen, our sexual energy. Man, thanks for joining us, Marcus. I'm looking forward to the next one. This was great. So thanks again for being here. We will have you back on in at least 2 weeks or so. And guys out there that have been listening to this, ask me some questions. If you have some stuff that you want us to speak about with Marcus, that's one of the reasons we're doing this. So let us know. Send me some comments on this video. Send me some text. Send me some messages on whatever platform, and we will ask them to Marcus. So on that note, guys, in order to be a good man, you need to be a protector. In order to be a protector, you need to be in shape. This is a no-brainer. This is your responsibility as a man. And that being said, if you find that what's going on right now around you is not right, it's time for you to stand up, and it's time for you to speak up. So on that note, enjoy the rest of your day. Peace out, guys. As you know, social media doesn't like opinions like mine. This is why I created my own platform where all of my uncensored podcasts can be found. For $4.99 a month, you get access to all my exclusive content, my private Facebook group, and much, much more. So make sure to go to nicolagan.com and register today.